Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Simply Sketchy. I am your host, Trim, and with me today we once again have Dave from Total Blackout Painting with us. And,
Hello
you know,
again.
hello. And once again, we are kind of going back to the basics, as I think we will be close to New Year's at this point, or in New Year's. So we're starting off or ending with just like last time, going back to the more classical style of black and whites.
Yeah, so through the course of this conversation we've been having, we started talking about of course folklore. We've been talking a
Yeah.
lot about folklore, and specifically Norwegian folklore, and Trim has shared with me a a story from his childhood and from Norwegian history called was it Pesta Comer?
Yeah,
Um,
the
which I can't say with that because
Stockholmen.
I don't have a
Yeah.
Norwegian accent.
You
Oh,
were
yeah. So it
close.
means the the plague comes. I guess the plague is coming, is
Yeah,
what that literally translates to.
yeah. Or
And
Pesta
so
is, yeah, Pesta is essentially the anthropomorphization of the plague. Pesta is the
yeah,
it's a woman essentially,
yeah.
given the shape of a woman.
So yes, she is. So Pesta is a character. She's um appears most clearly in Norwegian oral tradition in the earliest attestations of it. But it started being written down in the 18th to 19th centuries and was most famously recorded by Peter Christensen as Bjornson. I don't know how to say that. The same guy who
Asbjørnsen?
wrote down a lot of the Peer Gynt tales,
Yeah,
apparently.
Asbjørnsen og Moe,
So
I guess.
he must be he's obviously a Norwegian folklore teller and historian.
Yep.
Um, wow.
Asbjørnsen and Moe basically had a similar way of the Brothers Grimm. They collected Norwegian fairy tales and essentially worked around that.
Oh, that's fantastic. I Grimm's fairy tales are some of my favorite things.
Oh yeah.
Um, because I don't know. I love the ancient, like the medieval, early European tradition and history. You know, the stuff that brought us to where we are today.
Yes.
Um, but this is a remnant of the Black Death, so she's a representation of the Black Death, and conversely to what we.
She's the personification of it. The I This is the
Mhm.
being that when you see her, it means, well, you're gonna be visited by the plague during the olden tales, because as we mentioned last time, it humanity has a tendency of anthropomorphizing and giving shape to anything, and especially when you have a force of nature like this, like the disease of the Black Plague, it is pretty difficult not to try to give it something. But the Black Death got the shape sort of as a different form of the Grim Reaper. Instead of this tall man with a dark cloak and a scythe just going around reaping the dead, reaping life, it was a haggard old crone wandering house to house, and she would bring a broomstick, a broom, or she would bring a rake. You can tell us the differences about that, dude. I think you found the book about it.
Yeah, I got it. I got it here. So the rake, when she came or she approached with a rake, it meant there would be survivors, partial survivors, because uh, like they would be abandoned, families would be destroyed, but people would survive. So like one child or one sibling, like there's a continuity. The rake symbolizes the escape, that
Yes.
some people have escaped from her.
Yeah.
if she has a broom, that's total depopulation.
Yeah,
When she shows up with a broom, she sweeps away everybody.
nobody
So
survives.
entire settlements erased from tax records is what it says here.
Yes.
Now, which tracks very much, because there was like up upwards of 60% of people in North Europe, in Scandinavia specifically, died from the Black Death.
It was essentially the greatest scourge of the Norwegian nation because in this era, Norway was pretty much one of the main sources of trade, like main areas of trade in the Scandinavian lands. But because of the Black Death, we lost every hope of becoming anything close to a superpower. If it hadn't been for the Black Death, Scandinavia would have been under Norwegian rule because we would have the economic incentive and power for it. But after the Black Death, we lost that ability. We lost that
Yeah.
potential. We never regained it either. It just broke us down.
Well, what's funny is I feel like there is because of the precedent set by the Black Death, and we all know the Black Death. Like I believe that has put kind of a I don't want to say ancestral or genetic, but kind of a very powerful, deep-seated fear of disease and pandemic
Yeah.
in the Western world. Like
Humanity in general, like everyone's afraid of plagues and diseases. Like, I mean, just look at how the Bible treats many different diseases and plagues.
oh yeah, absolutely. But I think that was one of the reasons why people become so terrified of the potential of something like the plague. Because you hear, like, especially as a kid, I grew up, and every time I read the history on it, it's like most of the humans died.
Yeah.
Like not some, most. Like over 60% of people died during this time. Like humanity came very close to, at least Western Europe came very close to like an extinction level event here.
Yeah, Norway almost got extinct. That's the
It
thing.
fundamentally, yeah.
It's
I
kind
mean,
of
60% of the people.
Yeah.
60%. If your population loses 60% of the people, generally, your fucking civilization collapses.
Yeah, and the only
know,
reason we didn't is because of Sweden and Denmark, basically.
Yeah. And that's really fascinating. And it's also, I think, part of the reason why the time that it happened, the early 1300s or the mid 1300s, like that was such a period of stagnation in European history.
Oh yeah.
There was not a ton of advancement, and even not a ton of cultural advancement. Like looking back at the art of that period of time, there was a little bit of variation, but the art that was being produced, like first off, we've lost most of it, but the art that was being produced was not as technically sound as the art that came out in the Baroque period, let's say. The High Renaissance, like as awesome as the High Renaissance.
Basically restarted a lot because the fear of it all. I guess for lack of a better word, it brought the fear of God and death back into civilization. I mean,
I think so. I think maybe not. So, and she is an interesting character and an interesting representation in that, because her representation is not of again, like we talked about Krampus in the last one, or one of them. I don't know if it'll be the last one. We talked about Krampus, and how he was the consequence of some of your actions. Like you don't fall afoul of Krampus without being a shithead.
Exactly.
Right? She is 100% the opposite of that.
Yeah.
This is indiscriminate. It's not evil. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
She's not, and although she does do
She's
kind of,
more a force of nature than she is a malicious entity. You found
Yeah.
a pretty good quote on when she would arrive. Could you read that one again?
Yeah, let me go back to it. I gotta scroll back up to where it was. I gotta scroll back past the Peer Gynt stuff I was looking at.
I mean, Norwegian art in this period was
Yeah.
fascinating, dude. And here's the thing: the art style of, for example, one of the most formative images is Pesta I trappa. I think we mentioned it in a previous Simply Sketchy. It is a picture that scared the absolute bejesus out of me as a kid. But it's also one of the main reasons to why I have the fascination for this art style that I do, and why I like this kind of black and white style here. It's Theodor Kittelsen's style, and it is one that is close to my heart. But the first time I met this art style was literally in a darkened room in a stairway where where that mural was made, and I walked right into it expecting absolutely nothing. And then I saw the
So,
freaking personification of the plague itself in the stairs looking right at me.
and the picture, you're gonna have to have Bez is gonna have to put it on screen.
Oh yeah.
The picture is fucking terrifying. If you were a little kid and you saw that, like, it's an incredible inspiration of fear.
Oh yeah.
So here's how she travels. Here's what I got here. How she travels. So she's traveling often on foot, or she crosses seas by borrowing boats, floating on driftwood, or riding as a stowaway, being unknowingly transported by humans. So they don't know, like, the people will take her. They don't understand or know that she's the plague.
Yes.
And that mirrors how the plague actually spread via trade, shipping, and human movement. She may ask for shelter or food, and those who help her may be spared, but not often. More often, the change being nice changes nothing, as would be the case with the plague.
Yes.
She's not consistently moral good behavior does not reliably protect against her, which is where this kind of draws the distinction between. So this is more of a European cultural folklore tale, and not a Christian story, right? Like, not a story of it's not a biblical story, because there's no moral good. She's a morally neutral arbiter of death.
Yeah, she is just a best way to describe her. She's just a force of nature. She will come. Yep. It's like death itself. She will come. She will pass, and in her wake there will either be survivors or there will be none. You cannot argue with her. You can try to plead if you wish, but it will not change. She will either choose the broom or she will either choose the rake, and only thing you can do is wait.
Yeah, it's the inevitability.
Yeah, she is death,
which
by another form.
Which is a very common thing for humans to do, is to put a face on. You put a face onto trauma. We map human emotions and feelings onto abstract concepts.
Yeah.
Which is, obviously that's seen. There's a Greek god for everything. There's a friggin' Roman god for all that stuff. There's very often, for tragic events, for heroic events, for feelings and morals, anything like that, there's very often an anthropomorphized analog within the human lexicon.
Yeah. Oh, you also have, like,
Eros for love, Cupid for love.
Yeah, you also have
the Grim Reaper for death.
Nucklevy in I think it's the Orkney Islands.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that thing is essentially a spreader of death and decay.
The only thing I know of the Nucklevy is a magic card, so
Of course.
I just know there's a Nuckleby magic card, and I don't know anything about that. So
Yeah,
that'll be another
it's just,
interesting
the
thing to look into.
Knuckly is basically a result of Norwegian and Norse and Scottish culture clashing and creating this dark force that it corrupts things, it plagues things. A creature of the dark and the salt waters of the salt oceans.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
it
it's a,
kind of shares a similarity there by being a plague bringer, but it had difference here is that the Nuclevi could be escaped, you could outrun it, but Pesta, you can't escape her, you can't get away from her. She is
which
inevitable.
is an interesting, right? And which is why it's good she's portrayed as an old lady,
Yeah,
right? Because the inevitability of an old lady chasing you, as opposed to, like, she's not chasing you, she doesn't have to chase you because she's inevitable.
yeah. She
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 will happen.
doesn't she
It,
doesn't care. She takes her time. You will never know when she's there, and suddenly one day she will knock on your door, or you will look out your door, and at right close and getting closer by is an old lady, and the only thing you can hope is that she's carrying at least a rake instead of a broom.
yeah, man, that's really crazy to think, because of course this tradition would have come out of a horrible tragedy,
Oh
right?
yeah.
The horrible, half of a country dying, like
Oh, more
that's
than
an
that, dude. No,
unfathomable thing,
Norway
you
was
know?
close to just ceasing to exist. We give Sweden and Denmark a lot of shit, and there has been animosity throughout years we have existed together. But neither of our countries would truly be who we are if it was for the fact that we're able to see each other as siblings in many ways. Yes, we quarrel, we are sometimes rivals to the point of being bloody, but we still have this feeling of we're all Scandinavian, we're all similar in many ways. Sure, we
Right.
argue,
Well, that's
we'll fight each other easily, but we, again, we Norway wouldn't really have survived this if it wasn't for. I mean, there's a reason we call them call him in broken Swedish "söta bror," because again, for all our conflicts, they did help when it mattered.
yeah. Well, and that kind of falls into the me and my brother, or me against my brother, me and my brother against my cousin, me and my brother and my cousin against the outsiders, and then that ever expanding circle of
Pretty much.
camaraderie and shared cultural identity. Because no matter how much you guys shit on each other, there's more similarities between Norwegian and Swedish and even Danish culture
Yep.
than there is between Swedish culture and American culture.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
not to
And
say that there's any kind of incompatibilities or anything like that, because there's definitely not. Um, it's a different understanding of history and life, and it's because, like, this is not like this loss of my of your country, like the near collapse of your country is not something that's culturally relevant to me yet.
no, it again, it's more
We're
like
rapidly
we
on our way
almost
there,
lost.
but that's
Yeah, though it's not in the same way either. Like, to us, it was something that was literally out of our control at the time. This, well, I don't want to get too
yeah.
far into that. It's a different subject. But yeah, it's very similar, but it, kind of like if it
Well,
doesn't really work in the American sense because your country's just too large, you know?
oh yeah, definitely. Um, but and to draw a similarity, I guess, it's kind of like, so a lot of those old folklore tales, and not just this specifically, but a lot of the old tales are kind of like modern day. They're like old SCPs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, in
Like,
many ways, you're right. That they have a lot of that need, that desire for those kind of stories, it had existed for as long as well, civilization, basically.
Yeah.
Imagine all the stories we don't remember anymore that are pretty similar. Death has always had a name, has always had a face, had always had an identity. It varies. Like you have Thanatos from, I think, Greek mythology. You have the Valkyries, which is the claimer of at least the heroic dead to Vikings.
Yeah.
And then you have Malmeleon, which is the Norwegian word for the Grim Reaper.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
she's very much along those lines.
yeah.
Um,
And but she is the same and yet very unique because of who she is. And I don't know how, but well, actually, now I remember. Actually, this is in one of the Norwegian Norse tales. You have. I'm gonna try to be quick with this one. There's a story where Thor, Loki, and I think Tjalve, one of Thor's servant boys, are essentially out wandering, and they meet this Jotun sleeping, and it many things happen, and they end up joining him to a castle, where suddenly Thor is challenged to a wrestling match with an old crone, and he ends up trying to fight her, pushing her, just wrestling because it's a wrestling match,
yeah.
and he can't make her budge, but neither can she overpower him. However, as the fight drags on, she starts pulling tricks. She starts being far less honorable in fighting. She starts using dirtier and dirtier tricks until Thor falls over and gets beaten. He can't beat her, but in a straight fight, he could actually keep her back. At the end of this, it turns out that the Jotun who had led them there was Utgardsloke, who is this massive Jotun king and master of illusions. Everything that he had
Huh.
experienced had been his trickery, but he also had the power to gather literally forces of nature itself and give them physical shape, to which Thor had been fighting death itself, given form. So during the first part of the match, when Thor fought her fair and square before she started pulling different shit, was fighting against natural death. The one where it comes creeping, sleeping. This
Yeah.
passing of old age. That
Right.
couldn't take out Thor, but then she started cheating, diseases,
Hmm.
damages, injuries. The many things
Yeah.
that cause death of 1,000 cuts, essentially.
Right.
And that
Which
was an
which
old
makes
crone.
sense, right?
Yeah, yeah, it does. It
Because
does.
that
It
would be seen because it's dishonorable.
it is, but
Like
it
it
is
could.
just how it works, and I do like it because it really hypes them up in it. Because the heroes are kind of this way that they got like Thor got beat by old lady. He does not feel good about this. But then at
Yeah.
the end, Utgardsloke basically tells him, that was actually death. You didn't have a chance. I set all of you up. And then he just teleports away. Or rather,
He just
his entire
nopes
castle
out.
was an illusion too. That's the thing. It's the biggest what the hell kind of story, and it's also one of the reasons why it's one of my favorites. It's this illusionary kingdom made by this king, and at the end, there's no guarantee even if he was real. Did he truly have his own kingdom? Was he even real to begin with? Or was he just a single Jotun sorcerer who just wanted to fuck with them?
Right.
But he is never
Huh.
seen or mentioned again. And that description of death is kind of one of the things that makes me think that Pesta is a old lady, very old, is an
Right.
old haggard crone.
Well, and say uniquely Norwegian
Yeah.
from what I'm seeing,
Basically, we're
which
scared of
makes
old.
sense,
We're
right? Like
scared. We're scared
it's
of
a
old ladies.
it's a should have done like Sweden and just throw all your old people off a cliff.
Oh, we did
Um,
that too, but they started suddenly swearing and cursing us, and then we got really
yeah.
scared when they actually did.
Say so some of back to Pesta, shifting back to Pesta here. In that like the vein of the old lady. And really it drives the point home. Like Thor, she seems they seem harmless, right? Like
Yep.
you can't think of anything almost more harmless than an old lady, and harmless in the most literal sense, like incapable of doing harm. But in this, as a bearer of disease, she's
Or
she
not much
never
of bear.
speaks.
She's the herald of
And
it.
yeah, well, she's both, right?
Yeah.
Like she brings the disease, and of course, yeah, that's the herald. People, she's symbolic of the encroachment of the plague. She's bringing it with her. So yeah, she rarely speaks, and when she does, it's minimal. When it's sudden, she doesn't explain, and she does not negotiate.
Yeah.
And part of the silence of the old lady is that the irrational, like you can't reason with it. You can't reason with her. She's inevitable.
Yeah.
And the fact that she's an old lady just puts a fine point on that
Yeah.
you can't escape, and she knows you can't escape, so it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
And
It's kind of similar to the whole, the snail that can kill you with a touch, and it will
Right.
always come for you, kind of thing. But in many ways, kind of worse. It's less ridiculous, this one. Just
So-
more eerie.
so yeah, that's exactly. So I'm looking in here and it says why an old lady or why an old woman, because age is already associated with death, as we know, non-threatening, like I said, and she can move without being suspected.
Yep.
Right? Like again, nobody suspects that the old lady is the harbinger of doom.
And yet there's nothing more
But-
fitting.
Yes. Wow. She's just the aftermath of the plague. No, there's no hero. Nobody defeats her in folklore. There's no tricks that work.
Nothing.
You can't bargain with her. If you try to bargain with her, it doesn't matter
Yeah.
because she holds no loyalties.
She holds no loyalty. She holds no standard. She doesn't care. Man, woman, child, newborn, old, young.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. She just follows her nature.
And that's such an interesting shift from most folklore, because most folklore comes with a redemption or a heroic, there's Prince Charming, there's the person who won in the end. Does not have that. Her story does not have anybody winning in the end. There's no inevitable victory over her. She just kind of goes away on her own, really.
Yeah, the only winners are the ones who survived. And because I'm a little bit of a bleeding heart, I decided that for this one, she brings the rake.
Yeah.
Because it's Christmas time, we still got to be a little bit positive. But this, as I said, Theodor Kittelsen's artworks from the early 90s and 1900s. Well, I call it 1900s. I guess it would be the 20th century for how you count time.
Yeah.
The proper counting of time. His artwork was really formative with how I took inspiration. I become very much obsessed with the things that scare me in many ways, and this picture terrified me. And when I was young and started understanding what death was, that thing terrified me as well, to the point where I developed an obsession with it. So she became kind of a focus point of it, and I started just trying to learn more about it, and that was funny. Reading books where, as a kid, believing that reading it would kind of manifest it.
Or
Nightmares, dude. I
yeah.
had I had a lot of nightmares at that point, but I couldn't stop.
Well, that's I guess that speaks to ancestral memory in a way.
Hmm.
Um, because this is like it's not like she's been brought modernized or anything like that, right? Like her
Nope.
story doesn't lend itself well to modernization and definitely not commercialization because there's no arc. There's no redemption. There's no villain getting unseated. There's no hero coming in. There's no humor. There's nothing that you can look at this except for the inevitability of death and suffering.
Yep.
Um,
And it's kind of a part why I
which
believe the Norwegian mentality has this what should I say, this pessimism streak in it, and it's kind of, I do believe a lot of it is derived from how we coped and anthropomorphized this entity, this event.
I can totally see that. Um, it explains why there's so many death metal bands and shit.
Yeah.
Why the black metal comes from Scandinavian countries. It's not just the fact that they have short days during the winter time. You know, there's legit ancestral trauma that has occurred throughout the throughout history in Scandinavia through the course of like this um like the plague,
Yep.
like wars, like, and this is how human beings cope with those ideas. How people, like, you can't, as a nebulous concept of death and despair, like, how do you reckon with that? Well, one of the easiest ways to do it is to create a human analog, something to anthropomorphize, so that you have oh man, that looks awesome, so that you have a fixation point.
Yeah.
And this is a really fascinating story, dude,
It is.
because it's again, it's one of those folk tales that it's uniquely historical in that it's not meant to tell a moral lesson. It's meant to just kind of
Explain
portray.
yeah, it's meant to explain it in a way that is easy to understand, similar to a knuckle of
Yeah.
because the knuckle could be escape when it came for a person, but it's also a good way to explain why children died in their beds, why the harvest was ruined. It's just a way to cope,
Yeah.
a way to try to understand something that is just a bit beyond us at the moment.
Yeah. Which I guess to go back to another thing we talked about with Krampus was, I glibly suggested that the reason why a lot of these old folk tales of kids disappearing or getting stolen were because of abusive parents who went a little too far.
Yeah.
But it's more than that, really, because how do you deal with the loss of a child? How do you make yourself feel better about the loss of a child? How do you comfort yourself after your child has been taken from you without, like, someone took your child from you, someone took your family member from you, and you had no control over it? Well,
Yep.
it's easier to, again, anthropomorphize that pain than it is to try to look at it as an abstract concept.
Pretty much.
So this is fascinating.
It is.
And it really speaks to a history that I can't relate to yet.
Uh,
But
I hope you never really have to relate to it, because Again,
Yeah,
this,
I hope none of us have to actually relate to it
but
anymore. You know,
in a
like there's
way, we
nobody.
already can, because it's, as you said, a genetic, sort of like a genetic memory, in that we are
Yeah.
so afraid of plagues, of disease, of pandemics, and why a certain event was so effective. Right?
Yeah. This is. Oh man, I'm just watching you draw. This is really cool.
Thank you.
So,
And
man.
I had a very vivid imagination as a kid, right? So when I was little and saw, after seeing the Pesta i Troppa, I it, it scarred me. It honestly just scarred me for a long good while.
Yeah.
Not to the point
Well,
where
and
I
myths
lose my
are.
shit when I see it, but as a kid, seeing that stuff and believe it, at that moment, I saw an actual creature in the stairs, and from that moment on, like my imagination in the dark would conjure up that creature behind doors at the corner of rooms. I could see its fingers from the corner of the door and then stretch out to just greet me. Which would cause me to scream panic and my dad to run in wondering what the hell is going on. That
Yeah.
was interesting. It was essentially the face of my nightmares for years. And even
Yeah.
it's
It's a.
it's the it's the result of my of how I was afraid of the dark for a tremendous long time. Even now, I'm highly uncomfortable in the dark. Not because of oh, there's a monster there, but it's like past fucking fears just clinging.
Yeah. This. It's interesting because this is like the mythology and the personification of all that stuff is somewhat meant to be escapism,
Yep.
you know. And this may be slightly meant to be escapism, but it's the worst kind of escapism because you can't fucking escape. Um,
Exactly.
and so
It's
it's
more
more
like
of a
to escape the questions of why.
yeah. So
That's
it's
what
a
you're
cultural
escaping.
like a collective historical recollection of a shared trauma, a shared historical trauma.
Pretty much. Pretty damn much. So remember, guys, if you see a cloaked old crone carrying a rake coming towards your house, just run.
Yeah.
And if she carries a
It's the
broom,
snail.
run harder.
Yeah, it's like that unstoppable snail that if it touches you, it's gonna die. You're gonna die.
Yeah.
Um, so you got to keep moving away from it. You see that, you just fucking run.
Yep. But this one is
You
for
know, because
all
in
the
a lot of
marbles.
ways, the only way to escape the plagues was to fuck.
Yeah, he was to run.
The only way to escape dog barking. The only way to escape the plague was to leave.
Yep.
Right, or get lucky.
Yeah.
Be lucky enough to slip through the rake, the tines of
Indeed. And of
the
course,
plague.
the rake did help because a lot of Europeans are immune to the bubonic plague.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the
Which would make
antibodies are there.
sense, right? Like people would develop a resistance to
Yeah,
over
the
time.
Black Death died out because, well, we developed immune systems to it. The people that survived, they reproduced with the people with the other people, and suddenly,
Yeah.
if we didn't
More,
become all out immune, we became resistant to it.
yeah, more resistant. Yeah.
There we go, just doing some final touches here. And it's been
Yeah.
fun going back to the black and white style. And what I have been doing in the last two is having a primary different, instead of having just one and the same, I have a primary brush. For this one, it's been Stringy Bark and Huntsman.
That's funny. The brush names are funny.
I know. It's I'm surprised we don't see any
I've
gamer
enjoyed
words.
these. So I enjoy the black and white art because for a subject like this that is old, And the previous one, Krampus, I think it worked well for that because it's the old folklore. And the art style, it's not a modern thing, obviously. It doesn't need a modern treatment. It's getting a more traditional style treatment with your modern style,
Yeah.
right? You're pulling back tradition and um, you're pulling back tradition and fusing it with your own
Yeah.
unique
I
art
guess you
style,
could.
and
I guess you
it's
can call
great.
this. I guess you can call this my ode to Theodor Kittelsen. My
Oh man,
tribute to him, because without his art, I wouldn't have. Well, many ways I wouldn't be who I am today.
yeah, he's got some phenomenal work,
Oh
and
yeah. You totally
we're
should
gonna
do one of those autistic circles about him, dude. Highly
yeah,
recommend it.
we'll get him next season.
Good.
This season, I think the episode that will have aired before this one is released is Frank Frazetta. We're gonna do Frank Frazetta after Rockwell. After the Rockwell Christmas, we're doing Frank Frazetta, and then we've got one final episode, and then we're doing a recap of the season, and then we'll move on to season 2
Good.
and start back over. Start
Hell,
back over in medieval times. I think we might go with Raphael, or some other high Renaissance artist, and then move forward from there, like we have with the with our current iteration.
yeah.
So
Well, so
we're right now in the middle of our soon-to-be modern arc,
yeah.
and
Modern art.
arc.
I know you didn't
arc.
mean modern art. It's-
No, I said arc, ARC.
I know,
art.
I know. I said I know it. It's just that it was too close what I said. You.
Yeah, just to get. Although there is some very good modern art, I don't want to shit on all modern art. There is some very fantastic, very wonderful modern art that is awe-inspiring and beautiful. Very little of it came from Jackson Pollock, so not much of it came out of pop art or abstract expressionism. So some did, some didn't. But
There you go. Do you think it's better with larger eyes, or should I make them smaller?
no, I think it's good there. The kind of brighter eyes.
There you go. Well, and
Yeah.
with that, we are finishing. I guess you can say we're finishing this season of Simply Sketchy.
Yeah, this will be the last
It's-
episode of the year.
Yeah, but
So-
of course I started. This is episode 70, so it's first season was extended, or the first season was short. It's a bit of a weird one. I didn't really start counting until now, anyway. So
Yeah.
for everyone who's been watching so far, thank you for the year. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. Again, Dave, thank you so much for joining me here, and thank you for the challenges and for just helping me develop.
No, man, I'm very grateful to have been with you throughout the course of this year on your artistic journey, and watching you develop and grow your style has been a real blessing. Again, like I said in the last episode, I'm very grateful for you as a friend and as an artistic inspiration, and you know, and a friend, just something. I'm very grateful for you.
I appreciate it, dude. I'm really grateful for you as well. It's been
Thanks.
hell of a year to do this, and I'm really happy with how it all turned out so far. It's been really good, and I'm looking forward
Yeah.
to next round as well.
Yeah, like 2025 has been a fucking absolutely terrible year for me in some ways, but in many ways it has been really great, and me being able to go along with you through these artistic journeys has been a real blessing, and I'm grateful for it. And I think that we can put a fucking nail in this, in the last coffin nail in this year, and move on to 2026
Yeah, 2025 is a year that deserves the broom. Let's put it like that.
Yeah, it deserves the broom.
Yeah, let the old hag just brush through the year now, so we can get in
Yeah,
2026 and hope for a brighter future. And I hope everyone here
right.
you have the best possible year, the best possible year you can have. So,
Absolutely.
with that, I would also like to thank Besic for doing this editing. Thank you very much for your hard work, and I'm looking forward to next year. If you look forward to it, I don't know, but I'm paying you anyway, so you have to. Uh, Also, a big thank you to Robert Renato for letting me use his music. You'll find his links in the description down below. And again, to everyone who's taken the time to watch and or listen to this, thank you all for joining the journey, and I'm looking forward to getting back on it again. Until then, thanks again, Dave. Happy New Year, everyone, and goodbye.
Happy New Year, folks.